experts. Hello, everyone. It's me once again, Yumi, and welcome to Creative Talks with Scale Experts. Today, joining us once again is the founder and CEO of Scale Experts, and she has more than 15 years of experience in the BPO industry and has helped numerous clients in the recruitment and customer service sectors to scale their businesses. Ladies and gentlemen, once again, Miss Pam Baluyo.
Hey everyone.
And our special guest for today is a former college professor for more than 11 years, the creator of Top 100 Filipinos on LinkedIn, co creator of 100 Most Influential Filipino Women on LinkedIn, and the number one LinkedIn expert based on Google search as of February 2022. She is a LinkedIn and personal brand strategist and also the founder and chief content strategist at VB Consulting. For more than 10 years, she has worked with globally recognized coaches, consultants, executives, startup founders, and entrepreneurs from 15 countries in 5 regions worldwide. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Miss Virginia Bautista.
Thank you
Yay.
so much. Thank you, Yumi. And it's really great to be here. And it's nice to meet you also, Pam. Thank you for that introduction.
Yeah, you're
And
welcome. It's so nice, Miss Virgie, to be graced by your presence here in our show. It's really it's kumbaga parang I am actually honored that you allowed us to invite you in this show. And I've heard so much about you. I've subscribed to your newsletter, and yeah, I get a lot of insights from your tips on, especially on LinkedIn, because this is very important right now,
Mhm.
especially if you're a recruiter. LinkedIn is very, very important. So without further ado, let's have our coffee talk. Ikaw na. So
Yes.
sure, I'm ready.
what do you have in store for us?
Yeah. So, Miss Virginia, what was your career before becoming a personal brand strategist?
Do you want like 10 years before, 10 years ago, 20 years ago? Actually,
Wow, wow,
so
mukhang ano, it's really that far, huh?
Malalim, right, right. So basically, I'm personal brand strategist and also LinkedIn expert. But prior to that, I was in the corporate. I was teaching college students for more than 11 years. So I was a communication professor and vice chair of the Department of English and Communication. And then something happened in 2010. Actually, in 2008, I tried freelance writing. For many people, freelancers, they know what freelance writing is. They know what work from home is right now. But
Mhm.
like 12 years ago, not so many Filipinos are familiar with it. So I
True.
started freelance writing in 2008. I kept my day job because I really love writing. If you will be looking at my post today, that's really about my history, quite the history.
Mhm. Yeah.
So I have a full time job as a teacher and I started writing. But because I really loved writing, 2 years later, I left my full time job. I left the corporate, so they say, and then I jumped into full time freelancing. But then at that time, it was a risk for me. Why? Because I had 3 kids. And in freelancing, you never know. Bukas, maybe do you still have client? Maybe now you have a client. It's very uncertain.
That's right.
But but I think it changed everything for me. So from teaching to freelancing until I was able to build VP Consulting, everything just happened so smoothly, but with so many challenges along the way. So I rebranded twice actually. So
Wow.
from teaching to freelancing to consulting.
Ikaw, Miss
So
Pam, what
so
were your career before?
of course, I was in the packaging industry. That's kind of like different, and then switched to BPO. In that was in 2003 after I went back to school. So that's what happened, and the reason for that is because the BPO industry was starting to boom. That was then. So imagine from the packaging industry, working on paper, working on corrugated boxes, and sometimes even styrofoam. and then switched to BPO. That's a huge change in the career.
Mhm.
In between that, of course, I went back to school, and then in 2011, I started the company. And again, the same way as you, Miss Virgie, it no, I kind of like rebranded and
Mhm.
rebranded it to Scale Experts in 2018. So this is divine providence. The reason why we were able to meet today, you being a teacher, my inspiration for my, for my growth is my mom, who is a teacher. So
Mhm.
this is divine providence that we're here and we're talking about this. So so was there any hesitation from your end, Miss Virgie, to switch from being a university professor to becoming a personal brand strategist?
Freelancer. So not
Mm.
yet on personal branding. Freelance writer and
Yeah.
editor pa ako at the
Yes.
time. So on your question,
Was there
did I hesitate? Ganyan.
hesitation? Yeah. What prompted you? Was it because of money? But was it because of following your passion? What was it?
Um, I just got tired of the corporate. It's not because of the company. It's probably because I realized that my values are no longer aligned with the corporate values. And to me, it's very important when there is no alignment. Maybe at the beginning, because a year after graduation in college, that was my job. So
Mm-hmm.
10 years, 11 years later, probably my values changed, and those are no longer aligned with the corporate values. So I felt like I really had to go. I didn't even think about where I would go. I just wanted to leave because for some reason I was looking for something, but at the time I didn't know what it was. So there
Mm-hmm.
are moments like that that you feel because as I was a teacher, I was teaching college students, and teachers, you probably have seen it in your mom that they really work so hard. You teach in school, when you go home, meron ka pang dalang papers, magche-check ka pa,
And you get
prepare your
frustrated.
lesson and everything.
Yeah.
So years passed. I look at my students. So they graduated. They had their own families. Their careers are growing. But when I look at myself, I felt like I'm still here, and I didn't like it
Uh-huh.
because I suddenly realized I probably forgot to just even take care of my own dreams. So that's why I
Mm-hmm.
always tell people it's okay to really work so hard because Filipinos work so hard normally. The
Yes.
thing is, especially for women, no, for women's, it's International Women's Month. Um, we work hard at the expense of our own dreams. So that's
That's
what
right.
I learned early on. It's okay to be employed. We have to respect our paycheck, of course. But the thing is, what you do after five is the one thing that will take you places.
That's right. So wow, that's an impact really. Because there are some people who, like in my case, I
Mm-hmm.
really wanted to be an interior designer. I wanted to be like, following my passion and stuff like that. But then along the way, things started to shift. There were some priorities that you have to take into, but there are also some things na I realized, one thing that I loved is really helping out people and
Mm-hmm.
doing technical support for 5 years, doing that. It was really like, while there are some instances of burnout, there were some instances of, you're getting tired of it. There's the spark is still there, and then the opportunity came that in 2011 being able to customize what you wanted to do. So that's how the previous company BKW was born, and then by 2018 I started aligning, nagkaroon ng alignment. Why do I have to stick into this kind of strategic model in a business when I can do this? And being able to form a company that will really help the
Yeah.
employees enjoy the things that they love, having more time for themselves, but at the same time providing that service that we deliver to the clients. So comparing 2011 to 2018, the setup of the company, I think 2018, Scale Experts is
Mm-hmm.
more like this is the kind of company that the employees will enjoy better.
Mhm,
Kaya nga, the
mhm.
model
So
is
it has
better.
evolved, right? It has
Yes,
evolved with you
yes.
through the years.
Mm-mm.
Yeah.
And that's what happened with Yumi. She started with the
Mhm.
usual customer service, but then again, it wasn't her passion. And sabi ko, sige, let's try marketing. Let's see what you got. And so far, Yumi is doing that. So yeah. Was there any? No. By the way, I hope you don't mind, Miss Virgin. Was there any instances, because this is International Women's Month, and one of the things that they usually talk about is, having discrimination because you're a woman. Was there any instance that you experienced that? I mean, being a university professor before, and then you become a freelance writer, and then a personal brand strategist. Was there any discrimination just because you're a woman?
I don't really remember. But there's one thing because I used to work for a Singapore-based company. I was
Mm-hmm.
supposed to be sent to Singapore. That was the second time I was supposed to be sent there to do training for their clients. So all the
Mm-hmm.
papers were ready. And then 3 days, I think 4 days before that day, I mentioned to to my our boss, our manager, that I was pregnant because they didn't know. I worked from home since day one, so they didn't
Mm-hmm.
know. Then when they knew, suddenly the boss talked to me and he said, "Can we just send another person to
Mm-hmm.
do the training?" So of course, obviously, the reason is because I was pregnant. I was like 6 months pregnant, and he didn't explain. I didn't ask, but that was the only thing that happened before he said that to me. And I think that's discrimination for me. I mean, it doesn't matter whether you're pregnant, you're a woman, or whatever. I can do the training. I prepared all the materials, and I'm the head of the team. But at that time, I didn't notice it. I didn't even notice that it was a discrimination because at the back of my mind, I will be sending my teammate, and I want my
Mm-hmm.
teammate also to experience, going to that office, to the headquarters. But looking back, um, I think that was because that was a sort of discrimination for me. But I didn't feel like it's a discrimination because I grew up in a household where women have that power to make that decision. Yeah, that's the kind of household.
Matriarchal.
That's the kind of household that I grew up with. So it doesn't matter whether you're a man or a woman. So
Uh,
suddenly me being stopped to go there to train just because I was pregnant, you know, it's quite off
uh-huh.
for me.
Yeah. How about you, Yumi? Were you able to experience that kind of, I mean, what did you grow up in a matriarchal household?
Oh, well, same with Miss Virginia. However, it's a different story because, my background and all. But discrimination in a workplace, so far, I haven't experienced that because most of the time I make sure that I do my job.
Mhm.
Mm.
That's good. Well, there are instances talaga, Miss Virgie, and I think even at this year, even at this age, there are still discrimination that women may
Mm-mm.
not be aware of. Some may be so-called celebrating being a woman, that you're that, but then there were some instances before that you were chosen. Uh, I mean, someone was chosen over you because simply because he's a man, he's better
Mm.
representing the company better than you are in the workplace. That was some of the you in the BPO industry, diba?
It
We
happens, BPO.
Yeah, it happens,
Mm.
and I can relate to that pregnancy issue because, syempre, when you are in the BPO industry, you usually work in the evenings. There are
Mm.
instances where you can actually work in the mornings if they wanted to, they can. But in my case, at the time, I was in a critical first trimester of my pregnancy, and the best way for me to be able to overcome that challenge is for me to shift to a morning shift so that
Mm.
I can sleep better, I can work better. But they didn't allow me simply because, like, if you can't do the job, then just resign. That was the indirect.
Oh.
That was the indirect, yeah, message given to me. If you can't work, just resign. And I braved through that, trash can and all beside me, throwing up. Alam mo naman,
Mhm.
the first trimester is terrible, but I
Mhm.
can't afford that. So it may seem that it's not discrimination, but in one way or another, it is because you weren't given the chance to have that exercise to be a mom, to help you
Yeah.
out.
Yeah, but I act, maybe the reason I didn't think of that as a discrimination at that time, because the company was really supportive also of my pregnancy at that time, because
Mm,
I'm talking to two different people. So the one
yeah.
that really supported me, something I never experienced in the corporate world for more than 11 years, in terms of benefits, and also because they knew I was pregnant when I gave birth, they gave me like 2 months off, paid off,
Wow.
maternity
Wow.
leave, which we won't get in here. So,
Yeah.
in a way, they support me for being pregnant. They supported my pregnancy, so I probably that's the reason I didn't feel like it was a discrimination. But looking back, I think it is.
At certain level, there is a
Mhm.
support, not bordering on total discrimination, but there's still you being mansplained or being there are some instances with
Mhm.
that. And I think I know we may have to, or rather there's still a long way for women to really be empowered and be able to have that voice and express
Yeah.
themselves better,
Mhm.
than
Mhm.
just
Mhm.
being sidetracked just because you're being a woman. Ayun.
Correct.
Mhm.
In connection to that, Miss Virginia and Miss Pam, so before you rebranded yourselves, was there like a woman who inspired you to rebrand yourself or that led you to rebranding yourself? Parang ganun.
Wow.
Along my journey, at the
Mm-hmm.
beginning there was no one. I was trying to find some mentors online, but along the way I discovered Dory Clark. Dory Clark is a branding expert, and I read all her books, trilogy books, Reinventing You, Stand Out, and Entrepreneurial You. And our journey has some sort of similarity, because when you know a person's story and there is a similarity, automatically her story resonates with you. And I think that's
Mm-hmm.
very powerful. So I started reading all her books. I started listening to her interviews here and there. She writes for Forbes and everywhere. So I think the majority of my concept of personal branding actually started when I started to read all of her articles. And I see that she is an empowered woman. And what I'm thinking is that this is the kind of woman that we should have here in the Philippines, because I've noticed, again, is that for women, um, but actually not just for women, for us Filipinos, what we do is that before we decide for ourselves, we want to please others first, which is
Mm-hmm.
not good for us. Especially, when we're young, we want to make sure that our decision, we will please our parents, our friends, and all people around us. But at the end of the day, if we follow what will please them, we end up
Mm-hmm.
being so sad inside, because we know that that's not what we want.
Yeah, that's a very, very true. That's good. Well, in the last podcast, I did mention that there were teachers who inspired me. There were women, and there are a lot of women that inspired me. Of course, my mom will always be my number one, my number one hero. For that matter, and I have my aunts who were very, very supportive. And
Mhm.
you're right, being growing up in a matriarchal setup, sort of like that. Now, I'm not saying that the men do not have the voice. Of course, they do. Men will always be there as the elders. But what I mean to say is that the women in our family are not the meek ones. We're the strong ones. We can no, we're more of the lionesses that protect the king rather than yeah, rather than that. And then of course we have the teachers. And I guess in my journey as a CEO, it's really the women that really inspire me to voice out, because it's a tough job for, for entrepreneurs, women entrepreneurs like us, being able to go tea with some of the, CEOs in the US. And when I first time I went there, it's really, you would see that it's more of like a man's world. And then it's a good thing, like in my case, in me joining Rotary sometime in 2014, I realized, or rather, it was good that that organization, who used to be known as an all male club, started
Mhm.
inviting women over. And then it's part of the goals that they have to empower women. And now in 2022, or rather 2021, 2022, they started to have a specific area or specific um, arm to empower the women. So it's really good that you could see now that women are getting more involved in that.
Mhm.
So I understand you are also a LinkedIn strategist, Miss Virgie, and I wanted to know, like, if you are going to profile yourself, are you going to create your LinkedIn profile not only to find better jobs, but also to be able to reach out or link literally to other people and network with them? What would be your best advice in creating their profile?
Is this particular for women?
Uh, it could be, but we can do it in a general sense as well. What will you suggest? Like ako, if I wanted to beef up my LinkedIn profile, yeah, because some people are doing that. They just like create the profile and that's it, not realizing that LinkedIn is a very powerful tool in, reaching out, and it's a marketing strategy. What can you say?
Mhm.
Mhm.
Okay, first, there are so many things that you need to do, but I think people have to understand first that the first step in using LinkedIn is not to create a profile.
Yeah.
The first step is having that clarity. Ask
Mm-hmm.
yourself three questions first before you even use LinkedIn. Number
Mm-hmm.
one, what do you want to be known for? So this has a personal branding element, because if you go to LinkedIn and you are an author, a speaker, a trainer, and you're everything to everyone, you will attract no one. So have
Yeah.
that clarity first. What do you want to be known for? I'm a fan of one. So I stick
Mhm.
only to one until such time that I get attraction. When you
Mhm.
get traction, you can rebrand anytime.
Yeah.
Number two, so ask yourself these three questions. Number one, what do you want to be known for? And number two, who do you want to help? You cannot help everyone. There are more than
Yes.
800 million people on LinkedIn, and you can say, I'm for all of them. That's not possible. And
That's right.
question number three, ask yourself, what problem do you solve? All of us, whether we're looking for a job, we're looking for a client, whatever your goal is, we should be solving problems.
Mhm.
Because if you're not solving problem, people will not do business with you. And so have clarity on those three questions first. What do you want to be known for? Who do you want to help? And what problems do you solve? Now, once you're clear with that and stick to that, because there are people na after 1 week, uy, iba na yung gusto nila. Like
Uh-huh.
LinkedIn strategists ngayon, tas they saw someone else, uy, I want to be like this. And then after 1 week, another thing. So stick to one first. Parang sa relationship, di ba? You will grow only in a relationship if you stick together, no matter what,
Yes.
right?
Oo.
It's not because you don't like something, okay, let's call it, let's quit
Pull
and
it off.
things like
Oo.
that. Yeah.
Oo.
So it's just like a relationship, because actually LinkedIn is a relationship building tool. It's not
Yes.
like you go there and then people will come to you and invite you and pay you and buy your services. That doesn't happen. You
Yeah.
have to build a relationship. And for you to attract the right people, you have to be clear with those three questions. And
Mhm.
number four, this is no longer the question, but number four for you to remember is you have to be authentic. Going to LinkedIn doesn't mean you're going to invent a persona. Like, o ano
Mhm.
kayang magandang ano ko, mga branding ko, yun ang gagawin ko. Forgetting that if you invent something, if you invent a persona that is not you, that is difficult to maintain. That is not sustainable. You have to go there authentically as who you are. And that's not easy for most people, because
Yes.
most people think if I go to LinkedIn, I shall show my credentials. This is how good I am. But people don't remember you for your credentials. They remember you for something else. And that is your story. For you to tell your story, and story is the one that connects. For you to tell your story, you have to be authentic. Because you cannot fabricate stories, because you will forget. Ano ba yung sinabi kong story na yun if it's not authentic? So answer the three questions, have that focus, and then that's the time that you build your profile. So it's not a CV. Yeah, for most people, those who are
Yeah.
listening right now, your LinkedIn profile is not a CV. It's so much more than that. It's a tool for you to be known for whatever it is that you want to be known for, and to attract opportunities to you.
Wow, that was a lot. That is powerful. Ang galing. I am so wow. It's a wow. I mean, I'm like right when you were talking about, being able to be authentic and being true to yourself, do not fabricate stories. I remember, I'm sorry, again, ayan na naman, my late business partner, kasi before he was trying to do that, he was trying to do the fake it until
Mm,
you make it. And I said, I don't think it's gonna work. I was like telling him, if I don't think it's gonna work, because eventually people will know that you don't have a center yet.
yeah.
People will know that you don't have like, the real office yet. And we're just like, at the time, that was 2011, 2012, we were just like working in a co-working space. And he's promoting in the US that we have like a lot of seats when we don't. And it's like,
That's mhm.
oh, and I was like, you know what? That is dangerous because if people will find out that we're just faking it, we might lose our credibility. And I think that's what scale experts was built on
Mm,
authenticity.
authenticity.
And as I mentioned before, that we were the clients that we have were referrals. We rarely have something that just popped up from a website, or just an inquiry from a random inquiry, but it's really like someone told me about scale experts. So someone is telling our story, and
Yeah.
yeah, and that referral would really beef up, or rather build up that trust to the client. So by the time I talk to someone, they have that certain level of trust with me or with us, because people told about us. Like I have
Mhm.
this client, prior to this our podcast, I have this client who said he felt that a bomb was dropped on him, because I told him that
Mhm.
if this one isn't working, it's okay that we terminate our services with you. I won't be providing you any more VAs if you feel that our VAs are not working enough for you. And it was like
Mhm.
he said that it's like he felt a bomb fell over him, and realizing how we are as a partner to him. And we could kind of like work things out for us, because it
Mhm.
validated the kind of service that we're giving. So you telling us about that, the authenticity, being able to create that relationship via LinkedIn, I think that's a very, very powerful tip. And it's a very, people who are listening right now and want to build their LinkedIn profile should really take those three things at heart. Because
Yeah.
if you, um, it's true, no, if you are a jack of all trades and master of none, unless you are really good at everything, it's next to impossible to like really sell yourself at different angles and sell yourself at. And that's what happened to us, I guess. We can't, like, before I thought being a VA can do everything, and now I diba, we thought when we start business, parang, sige, let's explore real estate, let's explore, professionals, let's explore everything. And then eventually, over the years, we kind of like concentrated on recruitment specialists. And that's exactly what they're doing. They use LinkedIn to look for profiles, look for authenticity,
Mhm.
seeing if this person
Yeah.
is jumping from one company to another. And for those who are looking for jobs, I think that's very, they have to be careful in what to post, because if if you are a jumper, employers may think otherwise of you. So you're very, very right on that one, like spot on. Miss Virgie, it's
And then you also
spot
raised a good point on when you mentioned that what is it that you mentioned, having that focus. A lot
yeah,
of people, particularly for example VAs, a lot of people like VAs, they want to show people that they know how to do a lot of things, but
yeah,
actually that dilutes your brand. The more you say that you do different things, the more people forget about you. But the
yeah.
more you focus on one thing only, they will remember you. I started from zero presence, and when I started in 2017, I already knew my goal was to be the number one LinkedIn expert in the Philippines. And I'm claiming it now, at least in my
Yes,
niche, in my circle. Because
you
at
are.
the at the time, I found out through the Sales Navigator tool that there was no one in the Philippines doing LinkedIn training, consulting, and speaking. There are people doing lead generation here, doing something else here, something else there, but there's no one doing all of these three in one. So I realized, okay, there's a market. I
Mm,
didn't I didn't jump into something else. And I
yeah.
tried to narrow down. For example, I can do social media. At the beginning I thought, okay, I want to be a social media manager because I came from a social media intelligence company for 6 years. But I thought I can't do all social media because they have different algorithms. TikTok is
Mhm.
different from Facebook, from Twitter, from LinkedIn. And so I said, since I love LinkedIn, okay, I'll focus on LinkedIn, but I can do a lot of things on LinkedIn. I still have to
Mhm.
narrow down and specialize. What about LinkedIn? Lead generation, personal branding, content marketing, thought leadership. And I said, okay, personal branding only. And now I further niche down. I don't want to
Mhm.
be serving everyone. Because before, oh, you need LinkedIn, you need help on LinkedIn, I can help you. But it didn't
Mhm.
work for me, and you're trying to help everyone. So I narrowed
Mhm.
down. I realized through experience, I want to work only with consultants, coaches, and entrepreneurs. The rest, I'm not the one for you. So
Yeah.
that's when I felt that I really grew 10 times because of that focus. So to everyone who's on LinkedIn, don't be everything to everyone. Focus
Yes.
on one thing and be the expert and make a name for yourself on one thing only.
Amazing. That's amazing, Miss Virgie. That's
Wow.
a very good tip. Uh, Being able to, it really resonates with what an expert should be. I mean, in our
Mhm.
case, we only have like two, because we have two divisions: the managed services, wherein you get a team for us, and this is our specialty: customer service,
Mhm.
after sales support, anything that needs support. So that's the first niche that we have. And we are known in one aspect, in when people call us for team-based services, that's how we are known. And then there's another aspect in which that's where LinkedIn was really like being used heavily on, is being able to see that, okay, Scale Experts is really known for, um, this recruiting firms, being able to
Mhm.
provide
Mhm.
VAs for recruiting companies or recruiters
Mhm.
or professionals. And before I tried doing real estate, it's like it's not getting any traction, because nobody is they prefer a freelancer over that. And in as much as I try to penetrate the market, I was like asking why. And then I keep on having recruiters like inquiring, how much is your VA, how much is your VA
Mhm.
services. And then it was like, okay, so this is what we do. And then I eventually learning that I know more about recruiting, how to search, how to do lead generation, do how to identify a good candidate for your client, rather than doing
Doing
the
everything.
doing everything, doing real estate. Well, the usual phone call, calendar management, the
Mhm.
usual. But
Mhm.
again, there's not much. It's not that there's not much market, except that when they ask me if what I do, I just feel like, this is not really my cup of tea. But
Mhm.
every time I start talking about recruiting, the moment. the moment they ask me about it, it's like giving them the solution already, and then that's it. That was the buy-in.
Mhm.
I didn't have to like ask them a lot of questions like, oh, so this is what we do, blah 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 blah. I was like, can you do that? Yeah, I think, yeah, we're doing that. This is what we do with our clients. This is what they do, and this is what they're using. And then it was
Mhm.
like the next thing I knew, how much? I want to sign up, and then okay, I was like, and then I will just call my teams and another recruiter, and the next thing you knew, we're all servicing recruiters, and now we're one of the leading ATS or applicant tracking system is recommending us for their recruiters. So it's like it's really like, oh, okay, being able to narrow down, just like what you said, narrow down what your niche is, what your specialty is, and then use that as your personal brand will really make you stand out from the rest. And that
True.
is a very, very, good tip. It's really something that I talked with some of my friends who are also trying to
So
do
you're not
that.
on the right track, no?
It always goes back to those three things. What are you? What do you want to offer? What do you want? Who do you target? And what do you offer? How do you help them with it? And wow, parang when I was like listening to you, oh my God, this person is in the zone. Yun. And I'm so happy. Yun. Galing, galing,
Yes.
galing.
So, this next question is really a good question for the two of you. Going back to before you rebranded yourselves. So, thinking of you, Miss Virginia, being a college professor, and you, Miss
Mhm.
Pam, in the packaging industry. If you're going
Mhm.
to go back and you meet yourselves in that time, what will you say to to that you in that time? Let's start with Miss Virginia.
Miss
I
Virginia
think only
University
one thing.
professor. Oo.
Yeah. I think only one thing. Stop working so hard and not talking about what you're doing. Because that used to be me. I work so hard. I do a lot of good things. Then I met people, Filipinos in particular, just like me, they work so hard, which is good. But the sad thing is, nobody knows. Nobody
Mhm,
knows you're working so hard, not even your manager. So when that promotion time comes, you start wondering, why is it not me?
mhm,
Um, I'm happy that I realized that because most people really keep working hard. These days, working so hard is no longer enough. You have to be comfortable talking about how amazing you are, how great you are. I always tell people nobody will do that for you. No one can sing your song, no one can dance your dance, not even
mhm.
your mom. Because usually our moms like that, but they're cheering for us. But the
Oo.
truth is, there's so many things that are good about you. Stop working so hard and not talking about it. And this is the reason people, for example, in the US, personal branding is not new to them. In the
Mhm.
Philippines, not so many people understand what personal branding is all about. They think branding is personal bragging. Na
Yeah.
magyayabang ka, you're going to talk about yourself. But this
Mhm,
is not about bragging. This is about boosting your confidence because you only need one person to believe in you for you to really be able to accelerate your success. Until that person finds you, you will continue doubting yourself. Am I good
mhm.
enough? Am I doing the right thing? Am I in the right place? Do I have the right job? So if I will be talking to my old self, that's what I'm going to tell her. It's okay to work hard, but please talk about what you do and be comfortable talking about your credentials, be comfortable talking about your experiences, the lessons you've learned. So there will be a speech of vulnerability right there.
Mhm,
Of course, you may be good at what you do, but along the way, there are struggles. So don't hide the struggles as well.
mhm.
I'm a fan of one, I'm also a fan of authenticity. So especially now when you work from home, maybe if you got your job online and you haven't met your boss, you haven't met your colleagues, your job now is to think, how will they know how good you are?
Yeah.
We're not used to, hey, this is how good I am. This is my CV. We don't do that.
Yeah.
Now, What I teach people, use LinkedIn and let LinkedIn speak for you. So stop just working hard. You have to talk about what's good about you and let people know.
Wow, that's an amazing statement, Miss Virgie. It's true. Sometimes we work so hard, but we are, that feeling of being unappreciated because nobody really knows who you are. Nobody knows how
Yeah.
good you are, and you would wonder about the people who are online, people who are making a name for this. How did they do it? How were they able to make a name for themselves? How are they able to make themselves known? And sometimes we try doing that, and there are others who really can't do it. It's because they don't know where to start. And I think that's a very powerful statement, that you have to make yourself known. It doesn't have to be bragging. It just
Yeah.
you have to put branding. You have to put your personal brand in what you do, and I think that's good. And in my case, I guess that was me as well. Like now, like probably if you would say, 20, 25 years ago, I'm just like, an impetuous single mom at the time, to just go ahead and try to make your name, but never really know how to start. If you're in
Mhm.
the packaging industry, they don't really like recognize you. They just like know the name of the companies, but they don't know who the people behind those companies. And then when I started VKW, nobody really know who we are, what we do, and how important it is to let people know that this is your specialty. And it resonates, the way that the way you talked about personal branding. It really resonates that you have to show that this is how good you are. And I'm so glad that I'm so glad that we have this chance, because it helps validate, the sometimes there are doubts in certain people, that they feel that, you know it maybe if I put my credentials there. But it's not really just putting in credentials, it's showing them what you're
It's
good at.
and
Kasi may
it's
ganun eh.
really mhm.
May ganun, di ba, Miss Virgie? I don't know if you've encountered some people na instead of you being impressed by their number of accomplishments, lahat na, pati yata best in singing, nilagay na nila, that, but not really like, so and so. So
Yeah,
what are
here's
you
the
good at?
secret. So
Yeah,
here's the secret. You don't go to LinkedIn talking about yourself. You go to
yeah.
LinkedIn by adding value to others. Help others. Add value. What is your expertise? Share your expertise. Talk about things that will make others become more successful and more productive. And
Mm-hmm.
that's the way for you to have people talk about you. The
Mm-hmm.
way is not for you to talk about I am good, I am a rock star VA. That's not how it
Mm-hmm.
is on LinkedIn. Instead, help
That's
others. When you help others, they will be happy to talk about you. And that's what personal branding is. You let other people talk about you. And for that to happen, you need to show your expertise and help them. Because the truth is, nobody cares until they know that you care.
yeah.
So if ikaw, you just go to LinkedIn. I know a lot of people on LinkedIn, they will just remember that they have a LinkedIn profile when they have, for example, awards. Oh, I have
Mm-hmm.
an award. I want to share this on LinkedIn. Or they have something else, another credential. They will talk about it on LinkedIn. But
Mm-hmm.
people will listen once, twice, three times to you. After that, they're done with you. So
Yeah.
ask yourself, how can I add value to the community so that the community will care about me? So you
Yeah.
do that first. Add value, care about them so that they will care for you.
Wow.
Correct. I
And
can
that applies.
actually relate. Mm.
Yes, it applies to everything. Hindi lang, I don't think it's not only in LinkedIn, but how in every organization, in every company, you always have to do that. You always have to offer what can you put on the
Yeah.
table. Most of the time, I think that's the common question when you're doing interviews. They don't really like ask you, "Oh, you're a graduate from this and that." They would ask you, "What can you offer on the table?" And I think that's how you connect with people. They will know you, they will remember you for what you do, and not really for who you are. I mean, You may
Or not
have,
not what for what you say who you are,
yeah,
but
not for what you say
right.
you are. Yes,
Because
yes.
I can say I'm the best, but if you look at my profile, even if I say I'm a LinkedIn expert, if you look at my profile, there's nothing in there. Nobody will believe me. But
Uh-huh.
you just really have to show that you know what you're talking about, and number two, that you care about other people.
Correct.
Amazing.
I learned this from my previous boss, wherein people doesn't care how much you know until they know how much you care. Diba?
Oh,
That's
wow.
Very
what
true.
I learned. And also, I can relate to what Miss Virginia mentioned earlier. Yung it doesn't matter how good you are at work. You give the best of your best, but they will not notice up until you are exhausted, and then you leave the company, and then they'll replace you right after a day.
Mm-hmm.
'Di ba? So parang your efforts are being replaced anytime they wanted to. So it's not
Mm-hmm.
really enough that you just give yourself, but you have to make them notice your exemplary work. Just like that.
Yeah.
And plus, don't spend all your working hours working for a company. It's okay to work for a company. Always remember that when you work for a company, you're helping that company build their dreams. Now, again, as I
Mm-hmm.
mentioned, Nina, after five, what do you do? Build your own dreams, because nobody will fire you, right?
Yeah.
You will,
And
I mean, nobody, I mean, nobody, you will not fire. You're the only one who will not fire yourself.
yeah.
But so always remember that investing in ourselves is the most important thing that we can do. When we invest in ourselves, we're actually building a career insurance. It
Yeah.
gives you that assurance that even if you lose this job, you will never run out of opportunity, because you have the right skills, you have the confidence, and you have a network to support you. But if you just work for one company, for example, and you're not growing your own self, that's a surefire way to put your career in danger.
Yeah. Putting yourself in and how would you say it? A standstill, ika nga.
Yeah.
And if you remember it, if you remember Miss Virginia, with the previous, with the generation that came before us, the boomers, the Gen X, they didn't have social media to promote themselves, and but we do hear stories of elders like saying hinahabol siya ng trabaho, he's being chased by work, by the job. There are so many offers, he doesn't have that shortage of offers, and then there are some who are struggling to really find work. So what makes that
Mm-hmm.
person being chased by offers with the other one? And it has something to do with personal branding, being able to make others known how good you are, and not really by promoting yourself, but actually like making people know that yes, I'm here, I'm available to help, I can help you with that. And I think that's a very
Mm-hmm.
important aspect of, if you wanted to make yourself nail that brand, ika nga.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm really thankful that you validated that, because some people feel na they don't know how to distinguish bragging and
From
personal
brand.
branding. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
bragging and branding are two different things. And there are some people who will just brag about the many accomplishments that they have,
Oh, iba
but
naman
not,
yun, no? Ayaw naman natin yun.
oo, di ba? But without knowing that, without establishing, so what really are you good at? What really who are
Mm-hmm.
you as this? Like, and I'm very thankful that you gave us that tips. It's just three things, four things. May plus bonus ka pa eh. But
Yeah, may plus
you
pa yun.
just to work on those three statements, three questions, and that one, bonus tip, it could help you. It can make and break your career. And I think for women, they need that. They really need that, because women are most of the time being placed in the dark, placed in the back seat because of their gender, or perhaps in their limitations. Some of them feel that you're just a woman, babae ka lang. But no, we're not. We're not just kalang. We're really
Mm-hmm.
women, empowered women.
And
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 from my,
also, mm-hmm.
yes, yes, go ahead, Miss Virgie.
Yeah, sorry, I just remember, because I know women like us, we juggle a lot of things.
Uh,
without work,
yeah.
family,
Mhm.
everything else, so many things. So at the end of the day, we forgot that we have ourselves to take care of. We
Uh,
have our own career, our own professional development to take care of. It should not just be work and then home, household chores or whatever. It's not just be like that. You
mhm.
should be also be, caring for yourself and growing your career at the same time. So what you do after 5 really matters, especially now that we've seen that. Ako kasi, I also teach people na it's no longer
Mhm.
enough to have just one source of income. And I learned this early on. When you only have one source of income, yung one job, salaried employee, pag nawala yan, so what are you going to do? That will have a huge impact on your family. So try to
Mhm.
do something else. I don't want to call it hustle because people think with it's hustle, parang they diminish the meaning of hustle. But do something else that eventually will help you find exactly what you love to do.
And
And
it diminishes the nobility of that job,
yeah,
that
yeah.
entrepreneurial option. And I'm proud of that aspect, Miss Virgie, because
Mm,
I have some employees. They have, some of them have their own piggeries, may manukan.
mm,
Some
yeah.
have their photo printing. Some are doing online selling. They're doing online stores. Some have
Mm,
their, distributing food delivery, stuff like that. And I do encourage them to promote that, to be able to do that. After you finish with your work, go ahead. And we have a photographer uh, doing
mm,
some side jobs as well, starting accepting photography gigs. And I encourage them to do that because it's one way to fuel their passion and to be better. And one thing that I wanted to promote with them, so that you will understand my role as a CEO once you
mm,
handle your own business, and you will realize how important it is to, have that sense of focus, and that you have to understand different aspects of your business. And
mm.
it's a nice, and some actually like asked permission to leave and start their own business, start their own online business as a VA themselves, or being absorbed by their clients. And it's perfectly okay because for me, um, to be able to put up your own business, be able to understand that the path that I went through, you'll be more appreciative of the job or the business that you have. And that's the reason why we
That's
have this
that's really good.
podcast, yeah,
That's
in
good.
the first place. It's not to deter not to deter employees or VA to just like, settle for whatever job that you have, but explore your passion, and do
That's
that,
good.
just
Mm,
exactly what you did. And now you have your consulting firm, and it's making that niche of being
mm.
a brand specialist. And that's a very, it's a very great feat for you, Miss Virgie, and I'm so
Thank
proud of you
you.
for
Thank
that.
you.
Ayun. Naku, we have like, 5 minutes left. Yumi, do you have anything for us before we conclude?
Yes. Since this is the International Women's Month, the last question I'll be asking you, ladies, would be, what is an empowered woman to you?
Yan.
Or an empowered
Let's start
woman?
with this Virgie. Yeah.
An empowered woman for me is that person who's able to do whatever she wants to do without asking for permission. You don't
Wow.
have to ask for permission. You want to be a brand strategist? Go do it. Don't ask for permission. Don't ask whatever, your family, you don't need to ask them. If deep in your heart that's something that you want to explore, that's something that you want to do, go ahead and do it. You don't need permission because I know a lot of Filipinos, especially, and even women, as I mentioned at the beginning, they think about what will I do to please my mom, my friends, and all that. But it's not your business to please them. Your business is to create a future for yourself that you will thank yourself for. You want yourself to be thankful to you. Thank you for this, for creating this future. If you want your future self to thank you, do whatever it is that you love doing. You don't need to ask for permission.
Thank you so much for that one, Miss Fergie. Very, very wonderful, empowering words indeed. And for me, an empowered woman is someone who can speak their minds freely without worrying what others will say. Being able to stand up for your beliefs, for your convictions. You have that conviction. I'm currently experiencing something like that in our village because we have to stand up against, someone who is trying to hold on to power. And it's time for not just because you're a woman you can't speak up. No, you have to stand up, speak your mind, be not afraid for it. So I think yon, hopefully everything's going to be well for women this year. I am claiming for that. So thank you so much, Miss Virgie. I
Thank you so
hope we
much.
have more time. We have more time. This is a very how would you say it? Talagang ano siya, it's knowledge filled, wisdom filled podcast. Talagang
Thank you.
I had a lot of, like, oo nga, I have that oo nga
A
thing.
moment for
Oh, like
you.
a moment. Yes, like, yes, a moment. And I'm so thankful to have you as our guest in our online podcast. And Miss Virgie, I'd like you to tell everyone your company and what you do, and if they wanted to, like, ask or seek your services for personal branding, how can they reach you rather?
So we help coaches, entrepreneurs, and consultants who are experts at what they do build their brand on LinkedIn, monetize their expertise, and make an impact through personal branding and content marketing. So if you want to talk to me, go to LinkedIn and you'll find me there. Thank you.
All right. So yun, that's the easiest way to reach you. Go to
That's the
LinkedIn
best
and
and the
look for
easiest.
Virginia
Go to
Bautista.
LinkedIn. I'll
Oh
be there, of
yeah.
course.
Or type
Thank you so
in
much.
top 100 Filipinos on LinkedIn. You're number one on the list.
Oh yeah, maybe I want to mention that as well.
Oo.
So coming up, this month of March, we're coming
Mm.
up maybe next week.
Uh-huh.
100 most influential Filipino women in 2022. So we have
Wow.
empowered women in one list. Hindi ako
Wow.
kasama doon, ha?
Yeah, that's good. And
Uh,
we are excited who's who in 2022 because it's really important. It to see 100 women making a mark on not only in LinkedIn but in their respective careers. That's something. That's something to be celebrated for. So
Yeah, and it's global also. When you go to LinkedIn, your exposure is global. And it's an
yeah,
opportunity for us when we follow them. The reason, by the way, I had the list top 100 Filipinos on LinkedIn and 100 most influential Filipinos on LinkedIn. The reason I have that is that I understand that for most Filipinos, when they're new on LinkedIn, it's, they don't know where to start. How do I start? I don't have any connection, not even one. What do I do? But if you see the list, for example, if you're from the finance industry, you see someone from the top 100 or most influential Filipino women, and there's someone from the finance industry, you look at their profile, now you have an idea, this is how I should build my profile. And that
yeah,
will inspire you to connect with them, build a relationship. And when you build a relationship with people with a lot of followers, it boosts your presence on LinkedIn.
that's
And also,
right.
it's my way also of helping Filipinos boost their presence on LinkedIn. It's
That's
100, 100, so 200 every year.
and you have a very good advocacy on that one, Miss Verdi, and that's why it's very inspiring. That's the very main reason why we invited you in the first place, because of that advocacy. And thank you so much for doing that for Filipinos, inspiring Filipinos to be better. They don't have to be mediocre. We have 100 Filipinos who make a difference, and I
Yes.
hope more people will
And I
be.
hope you will be there, Yumi and Pam. Let's be more active.
Hopefully,
Yeah.
I'm not pushing, but I hope we will. I hope that we can also make that impact, because it's it's good to help. It's good to help
Yeah,
people.
very true. It feels
Yun.
good to help. So get out there, help people, and scale
Yeah.
the way you help. Scale
Yeah.
experts.
Thank you so much for that one. Thank you,
Thank
Miss
you.
Virgie. Yumi.
All right. So, ladies and gentlemen, we're happy to be with these two empowered women. And if you wanted to have more or to view more empowering podcasts, please follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, and also subscribe to our YouTube channel. Again, ladies and gentlemen, please give a round of applause to Miss Virginia Bautista and Miss Pam Baluyo.
Well, thank you so much, Miss
Thank you.
Virgie, for gracing our show. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
All
Thank you.
right.
Bye, experts.
Bye.